Meanwhile, Singapore Prime Minister Lawrence Wong says international cooperation and strategic dialogue are key to preventing worsening conflicts. On the final day of the ASEAN Summit, he called for the prevention of a full-blown conflict in Asia. He adds that such an outcome would be disastrous, not just for the region, but for the whole world, especially in view of the ongoing wars in Europe and the Middle East. Sherlyn Seah reports from Vientiane.
All the key players in the region gathered at the same table. The East Asia Summit features leaders from China, Japan, South Korea, and ASEAN members. Also in attendance, the US and Russia. Singapore PM Lawrence Wong said this summit's aim must be to manage differences among the major powers. In Asia, there is largely peace and stability, but there are potential hotspots and serious trust deficits. That's why strengthening strategic dialogue is important. Working together on concrete projects is also key. He cited the example of an ASEAN framework, which could prove useful for members within the East Asia Summit. It focuses on 4 key areas of cooperation: maritime, economic, connectivity, and sustainability. At the same time, he also highlighted that partners in this summit can play a vital role in supporting ASEAN in confronting its challenges. There's the pressing issue of Myanmar in particular. Mr. Wong has called on external partners to get the authorities there to stop the violence, facilitate humanitarian assistance, and engage all stakeholders in a national reconciliation. Separately, at the ASEAN-US Summit with US Secretary of State Antony Blinken, PM Wong said both sides should redouble efforts to strengthen the relationship. Digital and emerging tech, building a more sustainable future, and investing in people are possible areas. Last year, the US was ASEAN's largest source of foreign direct investment, with an inflow of $74.4 billion. As for ASEAN United Nations ties, PM Wong said both sides can work together to strengthen multilateralism and develop solutions to common challenges. What's important, he said, is to uphold the rule of law, which is absolutely necessary for peace and stability. The theme of cooperation rang through across all 3 days of talks, not just from PM Wong but other leaders as well, particularly cooperation for the shared benefit of all parties and to upkeep an inclusive regional and global order. Sherlyn Seah, CNA, Vientiane.
PM Wong also met with Chinese Premier Li Qiang on the sidelines of the summit. He says they had a good exchange on ways to further enhance cooperation through the recently upgraded partnership between both countries. PM Wong also says bilateral ties are in excellent shape. Next year, the countries mark 35 years of diplomatic relations. Singapore will launch a new leadership and governance training program for Lao officials next year. It had already hosted almost 17,000 officials under a program which provides technical assistance to fellow developing countries. This was announced by Prime Minister Lawrence Wong as he was hosted to an official banquet by his Lao counterpart, Sonsai Sipandon.
As 2 small countries with very similar population sizes, human capital is important for both Singapore and Laos, and we must maximize this precious resource. The program seeks to share Singapore's development experience and provide a platform for exchanging best practices.
The countries are marking 50 years of diplomatic relations this year. The leaders met earlier for bilateral talks after the closing of the ASEAN Summit. They discussed the progress of areas of cooperation such as energy connectivity, sustainability, food security and public health. Mr. Wong said he looks forward to working with Mr. Sonsai to bring the country's friendship to greater heights and also build a brighter future for ASEAN.